Hi everyone, and welcome to the next video tutorial done with MyMemory Suite digital scrapbooking software. Version 4 is the latest release of MyMemory Suite and is available now at mymemories.com. I'm Lisa, and I help host the Facebook page and blog for MyMemories, and today I'd like to share a fun feature available in the software called the WordArt Designer. This fun feature can give a truly custom look to your page titles and any word art that you might want to create for your pages. It's pretty simple to work it. I'm going to show you a couple of quick steps, and then you'll be creating word art like a pro in no time. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on a blank page that I've added to this little tutorial album. It's very simple to add a blank page to your project with this little button here at the top that allows you to add a blank page or several blank pages at a time if you need to. Also, you can go up to insert and add a page as well. You can do this with any of the template projects that you're working on or any album project that you already have started on. I like to create the word arts and some of the grouping embellishments and that type of thing on a blank page, just so I'm not working around any other embellishments or background papers or anything else that I might move or delete inadvertently. It just makes it a little bit simpler for me. But you can certainly choose however you'd like to work. Okay, I'm going to click on the WordArt Designer panel over on the right-hand side control panel. You can also access the WordArt Designer here where the little WA icon is, and also the matching icon over here on the resource gallery. But to show you all the different tools, I'm going to click it open from the control panel. Now what you'll see when you first open it is the add button, which is simply you're adding a new word art to your page. Now when you click that, it will always default to the words word art, and it will always be in the same font, the same size. It will always default to this gradient black to gray color fill, and it will be ready for you to make any changes to. Remember that everything that is created in the WordArt Designer is changeable, editable, removable, you can alter it in any way that you want. If you're over on the MyMemories.com website and you type word art search in the product search button, you'll see all kinds of word arts that the designers have created for us. And this is just a way that you can create some of your own if you can't find a particular item that you're looking for in your particular word that you're trying to create. So I'm going to start with leaving it here as the word art, and then what you'd like to do if you want to make any changes, which obviously you probably will. I mean, not many times is the text word art going to be the look that you're going for on your page. So I'm just going to change it to happy. That's just a basic word that we're going to start with, and I'm going to show you how the techniques work off of that. I'm going to enlarge it slightly so that we can just see it a little bit better. And that's very easy to do with these corner handles to your page item, or you can stretch it from one direction or the other. Remember that the corner handles will stretch both directions at the same time. Okay, that's just basic. That works the same whether you're doing an embellishment, a shape, a WordArt Designer option, or any of those things. Okay, now to make some of the changes that we will want to create to do some sort of custom look to this particular word is you're going to have to remember to highlight the word in this little text box here. That's where you can access to change the font. Any font that you have installed on your system will be available in both the WordArt Designer and also the text panel on your project. So if you wanted to install a new font, say you're working on like a Disney project or some sort of kid project and you've installed a different font, all you would need to do if you happen to have your MyMemories open while you're installing the font is just close it and reopen it, and that will allow the new font to be accessible in your software. So anything that you have on your computer as a TrueType font or some of the other types of fonts that are available will be accessible in the WordArt Designer and the text option panel on your program. Now, if you want to, you can make size changes here. If you happen to have more than one line of text, you can change the distance between the lines of text by using the options here. You can also rotate your word art this direction or that direction, or you can grab it by one of the corner handles until your cursor turns into that little half circle, and you can rotate it that way as well. Sometimes that's a little bit easier to get just the look you want, unless you have a particular angle that you're shooting for. Here is a little bit easier to just grab the corners and rotate it however you'd like. You can also change how transparent or see-through or solid your word art appears by changing the opacity slider here on the word art panel. Now, some of the options that are available in the fill, stroke, shadow, bevel, shape, and 3D options are where you start to give the custom features, the custom look to your WordArt Designer. Your WordArt design, excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take them in order and I'm going to show you what each one of them does. The next option down is called Fill, and what that will allow you to do is fill the surface of the letters in your WordArt with either a color, a texture, an image, or this gradient color option. So it will automatically default to the gradient color, and it will be in this gray, just so you can see where the WordArt ends up on your page. Now, to change the type of fill that you want, you can select solid color, and it will default to changing it to black, but if you want to change it to any other color, just simply click this change button. It says change right beside it, and that will bring up the choose fill color interface. That allows you to change it to any other color that's either in the palette, the swatches. If you happen to be trying to match a color on a website or something, and you have one of those tools that can show you the HSV and RGB numbers, you can type them in specifically here. Or you can use the color picker feature, which works also in the WordArt Designer, the text, the mattes, the shapes, any of the options that allow you to choose the color. This is how this particular feature would work. If you go to the Picker tab and you scroll around anywhere on the page here, you will see that it changes with where I am. Over here, you'll see what color I happen to be hovering over. Now, if you have more than one page in your album, which in this one I just have a cover page and this kind of blank page, so there's not going to be much to choose from. But if I had different pages, I can navigate to any other page within that album and choose any of the colors on those pages as well. So just click on the preview image of your page and it will show you down here at the bottom the color that you have chosen. So I'm going to click OK, and now you'll see that our happy word is filled with that green color that we selected from our previous page, so it will give you a custom match look. Now, if I wanted to change the gradient color, it's very easy to do that as well. Again, I'm going to click this change button, and that will take me to the gradient color interface panel. Now, what that allows me to do is to change, this will give you a preview so you can see kind of what it looks like. It's a little bit grayed out here, but you can see how it's darker at the bottom and it fades up to that lighter gray at the top, just like our preview image looks. Now, if I want to change the colors in the gradient option, it's very easy to do that. Go ahead and click this little tiny image here, which gives you the color, so it's black at the bottom, and that will show you what it looks like here. By clicking on the color itself, once you have clicked on the tiny little box, it will take you back over to that color option chooser where you can select any of the colors that are available, including the picker, to make a different look for your page. So now you can see that I've got the pink chosen here and I've got the white over here. It's very easy also to do the same thing if you wanted to choose a different color for either of the little gradient options. It's very easy to do that. Now, if you wanted a more varied look, let me change this to a little bit different color so we'll be able to see a little bit more clearly what it's going to look like. So now we have the green to the top and then the pink at the bottom, so you can see how in between it sort of fades from one color into the other. Now, if I wanted a little bit more variation, I can add another color, and you even have the option to slide it up or down to alter the look of where your color gradient would break up. So now I've got the black right in the middle, so it gives me the green, then the black, then the pink, and they sort of fade one into the other. Again, if I click on this little color box, it allows me to change that as well. So now I have, a little bit different look. Now, I think you can add more than one. You can add several different colors, and then it gives you the option to kind of move them around in different variations. I'm not exactly sure if there's a limit to how many you can add. I guess you could just keep trying it until you ran out of space if you wanted to. So let's just put something that'll be a little bit noticeable. Now, obviously, this is pretty ugly, but at least it gives you a pretty significant view of how adding the different colors can affect the different the way your letters will look. Now, you have a couple of different options for radial, which will give you a curved look, or you have a reflecting, which will kind of repeat the pattern out, or then it will start it over and repeat it that way too. You can also reverse it. It's sometimes just fun to play around with the options that you have until you get the look that you want. You can add that to favorites, which will allow you to select that combination again. So I'm going to click OK and just show you what it would look like if we were to stick with that particular color. Now, obviously, this isn't probably going to be something that's going to match anything that you're working on, but it gives you an idea of how you can choose those different colors. If you have an option that you wanted to remove, just click on the box that you want to delete and delete that color. So I'm going to take a couple of them out just so you can kind of have something that's a little bit better to focus on here. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it the pink to the green just so you can kind of see. Now we have a little bit more simple look, and you can tell that we chose the repeat, so it has started to repeat the pattern back again depending on how large or small your word art is. So that's the option that you have for a gradient color. Now, image, let me cover texture real quick because that's just a little bit simpler option. You have just some defined textures here that you can choose. You have water as an option. You have checks as an option. You have marble as an option. Those are just basic, simple choices. Metal is an option, and those are your choices for texture. Any of these things you can also change with the opacity slider that will make it either more transparent or more solid looking depending on how far up you have this selected. Now, the one thing that really is probably the most fun to play with is the image option. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click image, and that will be, so make sure that enable fill and image is selected. And right here you can see this is still our change button, but right now we have no image selected. So I'm going to click on the change button, and what that will allow me to do is to navigate to any place on my computer that I happen to have images stored, whether they be JPEG files of photographs or JPEG files of background papers. So it's very easy at this point to change the picture that you're using. So I'm just going to click one of the photo images that I have, and then you can see that as it fills in, now the word is filled in with an image. So it will give you a tiny little preview thumbnail of the image that you've chosen, and it will allow you to see that in your word art. Now what's nice is that obviously if I was going to use this is my adorable little nephew, and if I was going to use this, I would probably guess I would want to see his face in this particular word. So if I wanted to change the position of the image that I've selected, I'm going to click the position button, and then I can move the picture around to where it fits more appropriately in the word. You can also zoom in, which will give you a little bit different look depending on what you're trying to create, and then you can start to see that you can actually visually see the picture come through. This is a great way to use scenery images, or if you're creating, birthday party invitations, to use the child's name and create a really cute look that way. So what I'm going to do is leave the image so that you can see for the next option down how it can make a difference in what the final product looks like. Because right now, once you put an image in here, you can see that you sort of lose a little bit of definition from some of the edges of your letters where the picture might be lighter. Like the H looks perfect, but here when you can see Wesley's, part of his face, you kind of lose some of the definition in the P. So I'm going to go down to the next option, which is stroke, which is another word for outline. So by enabling that feature, and all of the options in the WordArt Designer have the enable button, so you just need to click that, and what that does is enable the outline for the letters that you have selected. Now you can do solid color, gradient color, neon, glow. You can play around with a few of those. It will default to about a width of 3, which you can make much narrower or you can make much wider depending on how closely spaced your letters are. Some of that will be a little bit too close for comfort, and some of it will be just about right. So as you can see, by putting a little bit of a line around the letters, you start to get some of the definition of the word back without losing any of the look of the picture itself. Now, again, you can change how narrow how transparent or see-through or solid the outline looks just by changing that, which sometimes can soften it a little bit if it's too harsh in the color. And remember again that by clicking the change button, you have all of those colors and all of those options, including the picker, which will allow you to, in this option, choose one of the colors in the actual photograph. Let's see if we can get something down here that's kind of a nice blue that matched the sweater that he was wearing that day. And then you get just kind of a nice custom option for the outline of the word if you're trying to match an element in the picture. I might even can match his little blue eyes if we tried. There we go. So you can actually create a pretty custom look with this particular feature. Now, one thing that we've talked about in several of the other videos is one thing that can kind of bridge the gap between the traditional scrapbooker who likes those stacked dimensional pages to a digital scrapbooker where everything is printed on a flat page, is to have the shadowing option. Now, this is the only feature in the software where the shadow option works a little bit differently. So we have to enable the shadow, and then we have to, you can choose the color of the shadow, you can choose the blur with the sliders here, you can also change the opacity of the shadow itself and the offset of the shadow by choosing the numbers here that you want to work with. Now, all of that is completely up to you. Sometimes by raising these numbers 3 or 4 or 5, you can start to get a little bit more definition and a little bit more pop off your page. So it's very easy to sort of play around with those and get the shape and definition that you want. Now, I'm going to go back to fill and just choose a solid color for this to show you a couple of the other options that we have. Just so sometimes on a photograph they're not as easy to demonstrate. I'm going to leave the outline that color just so you can see it. So now we've added a fill. I've shown you how to fill it with, oh, you know what I didn't show you is how to fill it with a background paper. Let's do that real quick too, because that's a really popular option as well. When we are in image, so go back to fill, click image, and right now you'll see that we still have this photograph selected. If I wanted to choose a background paper instead, then I would go ahead and click the change button because I want to navigate to a different image. So I'm going to change the image that it's filled with. And if I wanted to select an outside content paper, meaning something that I either purchased at MyMemories and don't have installed in the software that I downloaded as a general download, or something that I have purchased at another shop, I will just go to wherever I have those stored in my on my computer, and I will select any of the images that I have. Now remember that background papers are JPEG files, so they work the same exact way as photographs when they're filling your paper. So now you can see that I have that filled with a background paper. So it's very easy to create some of those custom WordArt looks by choosing a coordinating paper to a kit that you have. So remember, go to Image, Enable Fill, select Image, click on Change, and then navigate to wherever you have those outside content papers selected. And it's fun to use all kinds of the funky papers and you know, those kinds of custom things that you can create too. So you can see that the WordArt can take on a bunch of different looks just with making a few different selections. Now, if you wanted to navigate to a background paper that you have installed into your program, one of the kits that you have in your program, it's a couple of more steps, but it's still just as easy to do. So I'm going to leave the Enable Fill. I'm going to leave the image selected, and I'm going to click Change one more time. And then depending on whether you're on a Mac or a PC, this is a little bit different. So I'm going to click the option here. I'm going to go down to my hard drive. Whether I'm on my PC or my Mac, I'm going to click HD, which is my hard drive. On a PC, I think you would click like your C drive, wherever your program would be installed. Then on a Mac, I'm going to double click Applications because I'm looking for the program file, not my Memory Suite album folder. On a PC, you would be looking for your program file folder. So on a Mac, it's called Applications. On a PC, it's called Program Files. Then I'm going to go down on my list here to where I can find the My Memory Suite folder. Now, not the actual program here because I don't want to open the program. I want to click open the contents of the program. So double click on that. In Program Files, you would find your My Memories and open it there. Either way, you'll find a Components folder. Double click that, and then you'll find a Background Papers folder. It just says Backgrounds, but it's your Background Papers. I'm going to double click that, and any kit that you have purchased or that came installed in your software would be under your theme heading. So now you can see all of your familiar categories that you're looking for. I'm going to go down and just select, this happens to be a kit from Saxon Holt called Be Scrappy, and I'm going to select a background paper from this kit that happens to be installed in my software. So let me go through those steps one more time for you. Fill, enable fill, select image, and then change image. Then go to my hard drive, whether I'm on my PC or my Mac, my applications or program files folder, and then scroll down to wherever you find your My Memory Suite folder. Then look for components and then the backgrounds. Then theme is where you're going to find all your installed kits. Now your paper and your texture, those are just the general contents that come with your software in those kind of non-kit theme thingies. This is where you'll find all your installed content that has all of the fun things that you've purchased, any template pages that, any templates that you bought that came with pages. Any of that stuff will be found in that theme folder. So now you can see that you can use the content inside your My Memory Suite, or you can use content that you have installed as outside, which is stuff that's not installed into your program. I hope that makes some sense, because I think I know that that's the right way to tell you, but just so you can get there. So if you need to watch that video, re-watch that a couple of times to get those steps written down. Once you get the hang of it, it's kind of old hat, so it's not a problem. I'm going to go back up to, I'm going to go back down now to the next option. We've already done shadow, so now I'm going to go to bevel. And what this is the ability to give your letters a little bit more depth and pop as you're creating them for your page. So I'm going to enable this feature, and what it will do initially is it's kind of raised up all the way to the top. So we have the option to choose some of the different shapes. I'm just going to leave it on normal. You can play with some of the other ones when you have some time. And then what I'm going to do to change the look of it is to change the height of the bevel. And once I move that, you'll see that it just sort of starts to give, you know, those kind of vinyl puffy stickers that you used to buy. You know, I know when I was a kid, you know, maybe you're still a kid. I don't know, maybe you don't remember those. But there used to be these puffy little stickers you can buy. You can probably still buy them in the scrapbooking aisle in any craft store. But by changing the height of the bevel, you can start to give your letters that little bit of a puffy look and a little bit of a metallic look, depending on the paper that you have and the softness that you choose. So you can choose some different options for the height and some different options for the bevel softness, and it just sort of rounds them out and softens them up a little bit and gives you a completely different look than just a flat image. Now they almost look like they're a little bit more 3D than they would have been if I had just chosen even additional shadows. This just gives them a little bit more pop. So now we have the option we've covered how to fill, how to give them an outline with the stroke feature, how to give them a shadow, and how to give them a nice bevel to kind of pop them up off your page. Now the next option down is the shapes panel, and what that will allow you to do is give your headline, word art, text, whatever you want to call it, this shape. So I'm going to enable that feature, and then it will default to the first choice that you have here. You have the option to change the angle of the arc so that you can get some different looks with it. And you can imagine if you have enough words, it would probably go, you know, in a pretty tight arc. But depending on what you're trying to create, it really can give you some fun options. So by clicking on the different shapes, you can change the look of the word itself. You even have a couple of options down here where you can choose by clicking on this little swirly one. It'll kind of give you a, you know, a little rolling option there. This can give you your headline, you know, kind of leaning backwards or forwards, depending on, you know, kind of what look you're wanting. And you also have the option to change the tilt of those or anything that you're clicked on with this slider down here at the bottom. So that just gives you an idea of what you can do with the shape option. Again, it's just another tool to give you a little bit more creativity, a little bit more custom control over the words and the titles and word arts that you're adding to your page. Now the last option that I'll show you down here at the bottom is the 3D option. This is a little bit similar to the function of the shadows, just gives you a little bit more depth and definition. So I'm going to enable the 3D, and it will be white to start with, so you'll need to change the color to give you a little bit more look. Let me click on that there. There we go. And I'm going to pick something that will be kind of a bad color, but just enable you to see how it works. By adjusting the horizontal and the vertical number of your adjustment here, you can start to see a little bit more. It just gives a little bit more pop, a little bit more punch. You can add it, you can leave it off. Just another option for you to use to affect the way your word art looks. So those are some of the things that you can do to change the features of your word art on your page and give it a custom look. Remember, we can do color matching, we can do custom outlines, we can do custom shapes, we can do all of those kinds of things with your with all of the tools that you have available here on your word art panel. Now, one thing I want you to remember is, let me just take the shape out of here. Remember, like when you are looking at the different word art that designers create, what you can see in the work that they do is sometimes they will combine different fonts and then kind of group them together and create their own custom word art. So if you look, this one from Crazy for Monograms, which is, she's an amazing word art designer, you can see that these two words, good dog, are created with one font, and then this smaller part that kind of goes in between is created with another font. There is nothing stopping you from doing that yourself. All you need to do is place them together, create a couple of word arts, add, text, add any of the other options that you want. Like if we wanted to create something a little bit more custom, we can do, let's just change this to birthday. Okay, I'm going to change the word that we've created here. Give it a second to just, we'll go ahead and lengthen it. And then what I'm going to do is add an additional word art box to my page. And then I'm going to put, as soon as it finishes here, I'm going to put happy. There we go. And then I'm going to change the font for that. And one of my favorites is this wonderful script font that someone showed me. Let's see, it's called P22 Corinthia or something like that. And it just gives you a nice, nice option. I'm going to change that to just a solid color. Whoops. See, this is what happens when I'm trying to move too fast. I end up clicking the wrong thing. I'm going to just change that to a solid color so it's nice and black. And then I'm going to bring that up to the top and just sort of space it so it kind of fits in around the letters that I have. And sometimes you just need to tweak it a little bit to get it to fit. And then if I wanted to add an additional word art, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to put honey, just for chuckles. There we go. And then I'm going to change that into an additional, a third font. So let me change that to a solid color too, just so it's a little bit easier to see. So what you can see is that's kind of the trick to creating some of those custom word arts, is just remember to mix and match. You can change colors. Anything that you add as an individual word art can have a different color, a different font, a different size, a different shape, all of those things. Remember also, a fun idea for creating a really custom look is to spell out an entire word in individual letters. Like if I added a word art and just, oops, my battery on my mouse is low. I hope we can make it through the rest of this. If I just add a particular letter, then I can fill each of those things with a different background paper, a different picture, a different, feature, and then I can spell out words or letters in a different way, so you get a really custom look. If I'm spelling out, happy birthday Nana, and I put like a different picture of a different grandchild in each of the letters, then you can really get a cool look to your page. So those are just some tips and tricks, things that you can do with word art. All of those features are available on the WordArt Designer panel over here on the right-hand side control panel. In another video, we'll cover some of the cool things that you can do with the text, which is a little bit different, works a little bit different, gives you some different options. So I'll wrap it up for today before the battery in my mouse dies and say thank you very much for your time and your attention. Remember that we have the My Memories Project 2013 group on Facebook. If you'd like to know how to join that, we're working on a project that will take us all the way through 2013, working on completing an album by the end of the year, learning different tricks, different techniques to give your pages a custom look and something that might be different than anything you've tried before. We'll have some fun challenges and giveaways, Watch the My Memories blog for that information or send me an email directly. As always, with anything, if you need any help or assistance, please feel free to email me directly at lisaj@mymemories.com, and I'll be happy to help you in any way I can. Thanks again for your time and attention. Have a great evening, and I'll see you on Facebook.